guys, introspection here. Now I know that the title seems cliche, but just hear me out on this, okay? I wanted to make a logical, philosophical argument to convince you that you can be beautiful. And I'm not referring to the inner moral beauty, that's another discussion entirely. But what I am saying is that your physical outward appearance can be beautiful. So if you're somebody who often argues that they themselves are ugly, or at the very least not very pretty or beautiful, I'm going to attempt to logically and philosophically convince you otherwise. Now let's start with the general argument or ideas that people will come up to say they're ugly, or at the very least not beautiful. The first thing they may say is, oh, well, this actor or model is beautiful, and because I do not look like this actor or model, therefore I am not beautiful. Now, let me ask you this. If we find a model or an actor that you say is beautiful, and I say, well, I honestly don't think they're that beautiful. Yeah, they're cool and all, and I don't have anything against him or her, but I just don't find them that beautiful. How would you say that you are right in saying this person is beautiful and this person isn't beautiful? Well, you might say, well, their eyes, their body, their hair, whatever. And I can say that, well, the eyes, the body, their hair, whatever, doesn't particularly appeal to my mind as beautiful. Now, let's say that you are able to identify features that you say are beautiful or required to be beautiful. And we find other actors and actresses that you also consider beautiful. Chances are those requirements aren't really going to line up perfectly. Even if you say something like, well, they need to have, I don't know, a strong body to be beautiful. That in itself is going to have a lot of variation. You have buff, ripped, lean. So my point here is that the argument of, well, they are beautiful and I do not look like them doesn't really hold up, because that doesn't even remain consistent when you compare it to other people who are beautiful. Now, the next argument you might say, well, the general mass population, the majority, consider them beautiful. Therefore, they are beautiful. Now, the reason this doesn't hold up is because of something known as the bandwagon fallacy. The fallacy states that if something is largely believed by the mass population, then it must be true. Now, unfortunately, simply because everybody believes it to be true, it doesn't make it true. Now, it doesn't make it not true, it doesn't disprove it, but everybody believing it's true doesn't prove it either. Take, hypothetically, Napoleon. Everybody thought that Napoleon was particularly short for his time, when in reality, for the time, he was about average height. He wasn't particularly tall or short. So this is an instance where just because everybody believes it to be true doesn't necessarily make it true. And let's say hypothetically this was our standard for beauty. This doesn't really hold up very well either, even if you were to use it as a standard, because the majority of us don't really go around taking scientific polls, and even if you did, you'd have to do one for the entire world to find an objective beauty standard using that method. So that really doesn't work very well. So then, of course, another reaction might be to look at the dictionary, as we often do when we are attempting to discover the meaning of the word. Now, the dictionary gives us a definition, depending on which dictionary you have, along the lines of having beauty, possessing qualities that give great pleasure, satisfaction to see, hear, think about, so on and so forth. Now, as I'm sure you've already deduced, that can't really be mutually agreed upon, because each individual has a different preference as to what kind of things bring that kind of emotion or feeling to that person. And there's nothing that really validates one person's feelings for that thing or person more so than another person. So, given that, here is my position on the matter. For it to be beautiful, it needs to bring these sensations to a person. Since there is no minimum requirement, I would say that all you need to do is have one person believe that you are beautiful. Therefore, since those sensations exist in someone's mind, that would create the person that those sensations come from to be beautiful, because all you require for something to be beautiful is for it to exist as such within someone else's mind. Since there is no list of requirements physically that match these given the differences, and there is no minimum or maximum that is necessary for something to be considered beautiful. So all you need to do is have one person believe that you yourself are beautiful. And of course, that one person can very well be yourself. Now, those of us who are more informed in this very specific matter might argue, what about the golden ratio? That is something disproving that it only needs to exist in someone's mind for it to be considered beautiful. And I say, okay, fair point. But I apologize if I do this name wrong, Miss Honig, I believe it's pronounced. If anybody knows how to properly pronounce that, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. But she was a journalist who went ahead, there's a good chance you've heard of the story, she went ahead and sent it to 25 different countries. And in all of those countries, it came back differently. So for the golden ratio to be the objective standard between all of these countries, it would have come back looking very similar. But they didn't. They came back looking very, very different. And even through time, this kind of thing has also changed. I know at one point in old China, there used to be a standard that small feet were the beautiful thing. Unfortunately, it caused a lot of problems. As you might imagine, people were forced to wear smaller shoes to attempt to conform to this kind of thing. And then at another point, ankles were the whole thing. And it goes on and on and on from there. But point being that in all of these cases, generally, it just needed to exist as beautiful in somebody's mind to be considered beautiful. So for you to be beautiful, you merely need to accept yourself as beautiful. Now keep in mind, even if you don't find yourself beautiful, there is an all but guaranteed chance that somebody out there does. It might not be a particularly, chances are there is a particularly large group. But even if it's not a particularly large group, chances are somebody does find you beautiful. So even if you do not consider yourself to be beautiful, chances are somebody does, and in turn does make you beautiful. A quick side note though, it's a bit different when it comes to pieces of artwork or things, because beautiful is a bit different than good, because when you say something's good, you can actually make an argument that, say, a painting, the shadows aren't very well aligned with the sunlight, or perhaps a storyline was only sloppily made, or wasn't very enticing, very obvious, and that's a whole other discussion to be had. But the point is that how good something is in terms of when somebody makes something is a bit of a different argument to have than what I'm discussing here. And I just thought I'd make that distinction before anything was misconstrued. Now, if you have any other philosophical counter-arguments to my argument, then of course you're more than welcome to put it into the comments and attempt to convince me, and I will, so long as you're respectful, of course, and I will respectfully attempt to provide a counter-argument. Not that I can prevent you from being disrespectful, but of course, a respectful conversation would be a whole lot more productive than a disrespectful one. Now, of course, if you have anything else to leave in the comment section, perhaps advice on how to improve my videos, I need all the help I can get, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. Otherwise, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell button. I post every other Sunday. So until then, hear nothing and listen to all. Bye, guys.